Hi everyone, and welcome to this Business Forum Group webinar, How to Succeed Taking the Bridge of Joy, organized by Nordic Business Forum and Oslo Business Forum. My name is Salla Seppä, and I will be the host of this webinar. We are running a series of webinars leading up to our flagship event in September, the Nordic Business Forum, to be held in Helsinki. We are so excited to get back to physical events after such a long time. But until then, we look forward to producing this series of business and leadership-focused webinars on a range of topics. Today, the topic will be the importance of joy and how you as a leader can improve your company, your team, and your impact moving forward. Let's look at the agenda. In the first session of the day, we are going to hear from Iza Sia Login, the tech unicorn founder, co-founder of Login 5 Foundation, and CEO of Remina Academy. Running a company seriously, based on values and purpose, is no joke. But what if you could build it all and succeed while working in joy? That's what we are going to dig into now in a minute. Secondly, we are going to hear from Gowdat. He's the former Chief Business Officer at Google X, author of the international best-selling books Solve for Happy and Scary Smart, and just now highly relevant with the very recent launch of his new book 2 weeks ago, That Little Voice in Your Head. In other words, so much to look forward to. Please also use this opportunity to share your learnings from this webinar so that also your friends and colleagues can learn. Today's hashtags are nbforum and obforum. And today's learnings then. At the end of today, we hope you will have learned: why does joy make or break extraordinary business success? What framework can be used to make joy possible at work? And how can leaders raise joy across the entire company? Now we'll get started with Iza Sia Login. Iza Sia co-founded the bootstrapped tech unicorn Outfit 7, known for one of the most downloaded app franchises of all time, Talking Tom and Friends, with over 18 billion downloads and counting. In 2017, just 7 years after the incorporation of her startup, she and her co-founders sold Outfit 7 for $1 billion. Iza Sia thus fulfilled her initial intention to enter global-scale philanthropy and joined the pledges at the Gates Foundation Giving Pledge. She published this incredible story in the business novel 7 Unicorn Drive. Since then, Iza Sia and her family have scaled several global projects inside the Login 5 Foundation, from Login Eco, now the largest data-driven organic farm in Europe, to Remina Academy, a business manifestation academy, where conscious leaders come to create large-scale solutions to the real needs of time and space. Working in joy is one of the next-level concepts of Remina's leadership knowledge. And today, Iza Sia will be diving into how raising joy across the entire company is the fastest and most enjoyable way to extraordinary success, and why it is the largest untapped opportunity for leaders. Welcome so much, Iza Sia.
Hello, nice to see you.
Awesome to have you with us. So, Iza, you have been a long-time advocate for building companies with a strong purpose and values. And it's also something you refer to extensively throughout your book. It seems that purpose and values played such an important role in your outstanding success with Outfit 7. So let's start here. Do you think a strong corporate purpose and the values were the primary drivers of your success?
Yes, sure. With 18 billion downloads and more than 70 billion media views, for sure, values and purpose played the major role. But there was one element that we found that contributed a lot towards our success. And actually, it also proved that it was that important. And it was joy, because the apps, the mobile apps we built and the other media content was mainly built to bring people to joy, to make them fun. And it happened once that when we built an app, and because it was a tight schedule, the tight release date, and we had to push, and actually we suffered a bit. The app was not successful. And when we researched that, when we said, oh, what the hell, why this app is not successful, we found out that actually we didn't enjoy building it. And the energy that was missing was the energy of joy. And it made us think that it's so important to introduce and to really feel joy when working. And the other example, maybe I can share, are artists. Let's say artists, when they produce, let's say, a song, usually it's done in a good vibe, in joy, to bring, let's say, if it's a positive art piece. But when they have to be on stage and when they have to do it every day for 2 months or even more, it's a job for them, it's work. But if they don't do it with the proper vibe, they will not get audience to do it. And so it's their responsibility that even though it's not the creative part, it's then the implementation, and it repeats, they put themselves in the proper vibration, in the proper energy of joy to be successful and to bring joy to their audience.
So how can leaders then design their organizations for joy to thrive? And how can you notice that joy is missing in your organization?
Let's take, for example, the leadership model to run the company. Very simple, that everyone can understand, and it's a flashlight leadership model. When there are 5 main parts of the flashlight, and the first one, it's battery, that represents the purpose and values. So the purpose should be properly set. So why do we do what we do? And the values, that are actually the base for the strong culture. And then the next part is the bulb in the flashlight, and it represents the leader. And then the lens, that represents the team. And all these parts together are connected in the casing that presents in our model the processes, the agreements, the rules, how we work together. And if all these parts fit together and are properly set, then we are able to produce the beam. And the longest the beam is, the bigger success we can achieve. And with the beam, we set the strategy, we set the vision, the mission, or the objectives are there. And if all the parts, if we take care for all the parts all the time, the beam can be super long. And this represents a super success. That's not always the money. It can be many more. All the objectives that we set are the success. And let's say if there is no joy that actually arises from the battery, the bulb and the lens are dimmed. So the creative potential that is there in the team is dimmed. So the beam is weaker, is shorter. So the success is limited to its potential.
Well, can you then talk a bit about the concept of the bridge of joy?
Yeah, so let's say we have a properly set flashlight, so our purpose is properly set, our values are set, so the culture can be healthy and strong. And we decided to run the business. And usually, how companies do it towards their success, they meet certain challenges, they meet certain conflicts, they meet problems, technical issues, cash flow issues. They might find suffer, victimhood, grudges, even competition. And then in a certain time, for sure they will be successful, they will meet a success. But I say they will sit successful in a Ferrari crying with all the scars they've gotten through the process of meeting the objectives they set. And there are no personal growth. They don't actually enjoy the real success because they are tired with all these scars, and they are also tired to continue with the next project. And if we build the bridge of joy so that we are able to work in every situation in the feeling of joy, that's actually not that we are not able to fake and we cannot buy. We can go towards the success in a shortcut. We can go there easier, we can enjoy, we can have good relationship. And when we reach the goal, we reach it in a more effective way. And at the end, we can enjoy the fruits of our work. We have energy to start another project, and we actually experience also the personal growth. And it's then the easier way, but it's not possible to fake it, and you cannot buy it. And you should have the tools that also Mo will share after me to be in that feeling, to work in that feeling, to experience this actually enjoyment when creating, when be possible to express the whole potential, creative potential of all team members.
This does make a lot of sense to me. So the vibe in which people work for sure makes a huge difference in the outcome. But you can't just force people to start feeling joy at work, or can you? So how can you do that across the entire company to make people feel joy?
Yeah, you cannot force them. You cannot buy, as I already said. You can do it with your example. This is the first and the most useful tool. And let's say at Outfit 7 and at our foundation, we had a value that was bring joy. It meant that people should be aware that we would like to work in joy. It can be like funny moments, it can be inspiring moments, it can be just turned around the energy if the meeting, it comes, let's say, close to the conflict. And we also have a rule now at our foundation and in the Remina team that if you don't feel joy, if you are in an inner conflict, in a conflict with someone else, you can take your time off. It can be 10 minutes, it can be 30 minutes, it can be even 1 day or 2 days. Of course, you can't do every day. But let's say I do. If I fall out of my center, if I'm not centered, I try to postpone the next meeting or two, take time for myself, go out, go in the nature, take 20 minutes for meditation, to center myself, to come back, and then continue with my work. This way, I do less damage than I was if I was there. And I can do more, I can be more effective when I'm back. because I'm back myself. I'm creative. I'm positive. I'm enjoy. I like what I do. I enjoy what I do.
Great examples, and you seem to be doing a lot of that indeed. So do you have some further examples of the initiatives you do at Login 5 Foundation and Remina to help your employees to make this switch?
Yes, we have team buildings that are usually focused towards our values, so that people can discuss, can feel the values that form the culture. We introduce, let's say, we call them smoothie meetings, the meetings when people come together and discuss maybe issues that are not smooth. So that's why they're smoothie meetings, and they come to that meeting with smoothies. So they drink smoothies together. So it's also like a pleasant situation. And with these meetings, they don't just solve the potential issues or conflicts. They also discuss, how can I help you to achieve your goals? And this again is an initiative that lifts up the spirit and the vibe while working together in the team.
That is very uplifting indeed, even just to listen to. So thank you, Iza, for all those inspiring examples. And before we hand over to Mo, I want to ask you that there are so many things, obviously, with your successful past that you could talk about. But in this webinar, you indeed chose to talk about joy. And how come?
Yeah, I always say purpose and values are the base to run the company. But this is like a no-brainer for me. And this topic of joy, I think it's untapped potential that's not discussed enough in the organizations, in the teams. That's why I decided, let's talk about it. Let's be brave and do it. And because it's proven, we proved it with the Outfit 7 story. We prove it now with Login 5 Foundation. And we decided with Remina Academy to share this knowledge, to show companies, not to teach them, but show them that it's possible to do it. And actually, it's easy. And it's not just for the organization, it's also for their personal life. Because if they work in joy during the day, they can bring this energy home. Instead of conflict, burdens, stress, and so on, they can bring joy also to their families.
That's a great message to all of us to take away from your reflections, Iza. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And now, how to succeed by keeping your employees motivated is indeed one of the highly relevant things for leaders moving forward. So it is something future-focused leaders really need to embrace and understand. And to dig even deeper into this, we have some of the world's leading profiles joining us in Helsinki in September at our next Nordic Business Forum event. And there is something very special about these live events and physical experiences. And let's revisit some of our earlier events.
Business used to be traditional.
Good morning.
It just feels like people care here.
We need business as unusual. And we need funky business.
The 44th President of the United States, Mr. Barack Obama.
Thank you.
Very warm round of applause for Mr. David Cameron.
Thank you very much. Some of the best speakers in the world.
The purpose of business is not to maximize shareholder value. Whoever told you that should them.
It brings together so many people and creates this high energy environment.
We are social animals.
Powerful speakers, powerful audience.
I'll be back.
This is what our events are all about. And this is also what you can be a part of at our events in Helsinki, Oslo, and Amsterdam in September. Now, let's jump into our next session. So we have been looking into this, this topic of how raising joy across the entire company is the fastest and most enjoyable way to extraordinary success. From that, we will now move on to Mo Gowdat, who will dive into how to build on this through his practical guide and approach for optimal joy and happiness. Gowdat is the former Chief Business Officer at Google X and a serial entrepreneur, author, and founder of 1 Billion Happy. In 2014, motivated by the tragic loss of his son, Ali, Mo began pouring his findings into his international best-selling book, Solve for Happy, Engineer Your Path to Joy. His mission is to help 1 billion people become happier. Hashtag 1 billion happy. It is a moonshot attempt to honor Ali by spreading the message that happiness can be learned and shared to 1 billion people. Less than 2 weeks ago, he published his newest book, That Little Voice in Your Head, and today he will share how you can genuinely experience more happiness based on generosity and empathy towards ourselves and others. Please give a warm virtual welcome to Mo Gowdat.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor to be among those speakers. It's such a joy. I've just listened to Isa literally share the biggest secret of success that I know about business in my entire career. I joined Google in 2007, and the Google I joined was exactly as Isa described. It was a company that was driven by purpose. You know, you walked the corridors and everyone knew that this was about organizing the world's information. So everyone followed that purpose. And it was actually a company where people not only had the freedom to feel happy, but had the environment that allowed them to be happy. It was a company that encouraged exactly what Isa said in terms of enjoy what you're doing. And if you enjoy what you're doing, you make others around you enjoy it. And if they also enjoy it, then we're going to create amazing things that will change the world. And when you really understand this, you start to realize that Google did not offer sushi at lunch or laundry services or game rooms or whatever because Larry and Sergey, our founders, were nice. We offered those things, of course, because the culture was built on nice values, but because it was the best business decision we could ever make. When you create an environment that allows you to make your employees not only enjoy coming to work, but enjoy working together and being creative and so on, you're actually creating an upside for your business. When you offer a nice lunch for the employees, they stop going out and they end up sitting inside the organization. Basically, if you calculate a woman hour salary for them during that 1 hour of lunch, your lunch is actually cheaper than losing them outside the company and getting them stressed. This is not, it's a no-brainer to understand that happiness makes people more productive. Stanford University ran a research that basically showed that people who are happy in general are 37% more productive than people who are not. Of course, it doesn't take a lot of brain power to understand that. When you're happy, you are more engaged. Your colleagues and customers like you more. They want to work with you. You're creative. You're not wasting your brain cycles on complaining or browsing the internet because you're bored. You want to be in that place, so you want to do well. You want to succeed. You don't want to lose the opportunity to work there. All of that makes us better at producing things that change the world and benefit our companies when we're happier. The challenge then is, but how can we do that? How can we, as Isa so kindly said, that casing of the flashlight and the processes and the way things are done in a company, how do you conform to that? How do you make sure that that you are running a business, but that people are still allowed and even encouraged to be happy? And the trick is actually quite interesting. The trick is to realize that no company can actually make anyone happy. And I'll explain that to you in a minute. What a company can do is it can a place where people can choose to be happy. It can create a leadership team that actually is happy and encourages happiness. So they are really inspiring everyone to seek their happiness. And most importantly, and I'll explain in a minute, remove the reasons for unhappiness. Remove the reasons that can make someone unhappy. The trick, however, is even if you do all of that, there will still be a few grumpy employees. Why? Because happiness is a personal choice. It is something that we each choose. Even if you give one everything, I'm sure some of you know a friend like that who has everything in life and is still unhappy, right? So that personal choice is the core of my work. The core of my work is that happiness is as predictable as a mathematical equation. And I'll take you through very, very important 3 assumptions. Assumption number 1, which is unlike what we are told in the modern world. In the modern world, we're told that we need things from outside us to be happy. We need to buy a fancy car or have a wonderful partner or, have a title that we can share on LinkedIn or whatever, likes on Instagram. We're told that we need those things. We need vacations, we need fancy stuff and so on. When in reality, if you look at any child you've ever seen, any infant, if they're fed and safe and given their basic needs for survival, just their basic needs, their state is happy, right? So if a child is in, is in a safe environment, it's not nobody shouting next to them, nobody's, is giving them a reason to cry. What's the state of the child? The child is on its back, playing with its toes and giggling, right? And it's so interesting that the modern world does not allow us to live that way anymore, because the modern world then starts to tell us, hold on, don't lie on your back and giggle. You're not doing really well. You need to do better. You need to continue to chase more. You need to do more hours and so on, which interestingly does not make us happier. And at the same time, does not make us more productive. It stresses us, it subjects us to well-being and mental health issues, and it basically leads to burnout at the end. So that core assumption is really important, is to understand that happiness doesn't come from outside you. Happiness is there within you. It's your default state, and you can live with it. You can find it without any reason from outside. You don't need something from outside you to be happy. The opposite of that is even more interesting. The opposite of, or the complementing side of that statement, because you look at that child, and the child becomes unhappy when something goes wrong. So if there is a reason for unhappiness, the child will cry. If a diaper gets wet, okay, the child feels uncomfortable, the child will cry until the mother or the caretaker comes and changes the diaper. And what happens is the child goes back to happiness. So assumption number 2 is actually, it sounds like a very simple statement, but it is actually very profound. Happiness is the absence of unhappiness. If you want to find happiness, there are no 7 things you can do to be happy. Like, the cover of Cosmopolitan magazine will tell you, oh, these are the 10 things you can do to be happy. There are no 10 things you can do to be happy. The only thing you can do to be happy is to stop being unhappy. Okay? If you stop being unhappy, your default state becomes your reality. And your default state is calm and peaceful and contented. Now, when I understood that, I started to question in my mind what I need to do to find that state of no unhappiness. Understand, I'm not looking for something to be happy. I'm looking for something to stop being unhappy. So I did a very interesting scientific experiment, which I know sounds really strange when I tell it out loud, but at the time it sounded to be the most interesting thing to do. I told myself, if happiness is the absence of unhappiness, let me find an algorithmic way, an equation, if you want, that describes all the commonalities across the points in our life where we feel happy, and all of the commonalities across the points where we feel unhappy. And I did that by simply doing what reverse engineering does. I looked for data points. I wrote down, at the time, I remember 92 data points of moments in my life where I felt happy. Simple moments, like I feel happy when I have a good cup of coffee, or I feel happy when my daughter smiles, or whatever, when I learn something new. And that happy list, if you want, is something that I actually encourage a lot of people to do, because if you want to be happy, you might as well have a list of the things that make you happy, which mostly are things that are very, very simple. You can invite them into your life every day if you want. But that wasn't the purpose of the exercise. The purpose was I was trying to find that trend line. I was trying to actually write an equation, an algorithm, like a programmer would do, so that I can enter any value in that algorithm and it will tell me if I'll be happy or unhappy. Now, interestingly, you know, if you look at all the moments in your life where you felt happy, there is really nothing clearly common among them, okay? Other than one thing and one thing only. It is not the event of your life, at least not on its own, that makes you happy or unhappy. It's the event of your life as compared to how you want life to be. If you compare an event, I don't know, take rain. If you take rain as an event, rain makes you happy if you want to water your plants, okay? It makes you unhappy if you want to sit in the sun. Rain makes you happy if it's your ex-boyfriend's wedding. It makes you unhappy if it is your wedding, okay? And when you really think about it, there is no inherent value of happiness in rain. Rain itself doesn't make you happy or unhappy. It's the comparison between rain and what you want that makes you happy or unhappy. Now you understand this and suddenly you realize that the answer to the question of happiness in the world is to align that event and expectation. Now you can describe this in a very simple mathematical equation. And the mathematical equation is your happiness is equal to or greater than the difference between the events of your life and your expectations of how life should be, okay? The human brain is capable of calculating that equation. As a matter of fact, that equation is the primary purpose of the human brain. And I'll tell you why in a second when we talk about unhappiness. The primary purpose of the human brain is that every single engagement, every single situation, you're sitting here watching this and you go like, okay, he's bored. Like, does that mean I should sit down and listen to him or not? Is he gonna talk about happiness? Is that worth my time? Your brain is constantly taking every situation that you're put in, and the brain is comparing it to what it wants life to be. And if they match, you feel happy. If they don't match, you feel unhappy. Okay, and simply that means that you know, our brains are capable of doing this up to 60,000 times a day. And sadly, for most of us, this also is a scientific research done in Stanford University, 60 to 70% of the time, the adult brain will return a negative thought. So if you actually look at the world around you, 60 to 70% of the time, you're looking, observing, noticing, remembering what's wrong and not what's right. And that actually, of course, is the reason why the news media industry is always telling us the bad news, okay? Because when they tell us the bad news, we pay attention. The brain wants to know what's wrong. Now, let's take that equation and understand a few definitions, because as an engineer, you cannot fix anything. As a leader in business, you cannot fix anything unless you know how to define it. So happiness is equal to or greater than the difference between the events of your life and your expectations of how life should be. So events minus expectations. Let's take that and define happiness. Happiness is a moment where events beat or meet expectations. Okay, if life is giving us something that is better than what we want or equal to what we want, we're happy. Now, what does that mean? It means that happiness is not what's being sold to us by advertising and marketing. Happiness is a calm and peaceful contentment that you feel in your heart when you're okay with life as it is. Okay? It doesn't matter what life is. Your boss can be annoying, okay? But if you're okay, if you find a way to tell yourself, but I love my job and I love what I'm doing and I'm making a difference to the world and the commute is wonderful and my colleagues are nice, but yes, my boss is annoying, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay, I'm accepting it because overall I'm contented with life as it is. That's the definition of happiness. Now, understand, peacefulness and calmness cannot be sold to us in the modern world. Nobody can sell you, be contented with what you have. For Apple to sell you the iPhone 13, they cannot come to you and show you an ad that says your iPhone 6 is as good as you will ever need it. Okay? They have to tell you, to show you an ad that says you need a better camera or you need the color green. Okay? When we are told that something is missing from life, we're sold something that we want to fill the hole with. Now, here's the interesting challenge. What does the modern world do to us? By doing this, they're replacing our genuine happiness, that calm and peaceful contentment. They're replacing it with something I normally call weapons of mass distraction or the state of escape, if you want. Escape, why? Because if you're unhappy and there is an issue, say your partner said something hurtful on Friday, okay? If there is an issue, if that issue is in your mind and your mind keeps bringing it up, you're feeling unhappy. It's comparing events to expectations and you're feeling unhappy. So what do? We run to fun, pleasure, luxury, physical engagement, activities like going to a party or running on a treadmill or whatever that numb your brain long enough so that you don't think about your happiness equation, and as a result think that you're happy because your default state when you're not solving the equation is happy. Now, is there anything wrong with fun? Not at all, other than one tiny little thing, okay? If you understand happiness as calm and peacefulness, the hormone in our body that's associated with happiness is serotonin. Serotonin basically is exactly what the happiness equation says. It is a calming hormone that tells you, I've looked at life right now. Life seems to be safe. You can rest and relax and digest your food and replenish your muscles and maybe close your eyes and reflect or even go to sleep. Okay, which by the way is extremely important for the success of you as a human machine. That rest is what keeps you going. That rest is what keeps your organs functioning and avoids you getting to burnout, right? Serotonin is different because it's a calmer than dopamine. Dopamine is what we get in our bodies when we are exposed to activities such as fun, excitement, elation, and so on, right? Dopamine is a reward hormone that basically makes you want to do more of what you're doing right now, okay? The problem with dopamine is it lasts for as long as you're doing what you're doing, and your brain down regulates for it. So the minute you do an activity and it makes you feel elated, and then it stops, you have to take another kick and another kick, almost like a drug addict. So this is why people who are always using fun as the way to find their joy, they basically become addicted to fun. They go from party to party to more extreme parties. They go from the treadmill to extreme sports and jumping out of an airplane. Why? Because they need that constant kick. In doing that, they're using dopamine as a painkiller, almost like you have a headache. You haven't thought about the cure of the headache. You just take something that takes the pain away. And the minute the effect of the pill goes away, you take another one. Nothing wrong with fun, by the way. And I have a lot of fun, probably more than all of our audience combined. But I have fun when I've solved my happiness issue. So if I feel unhappy about something, I work on it. And when I work on it, I get to the answer that makes me happy again. And then I add fun as a supplement, as a vitamin to stay happy in my life because life is joyful. Two definitions. So happiness is calm and peaceful contentment. Fun and pleasure and all other distractions, if you want, are a replacement for that doesn't last. What's the most important definition? The most important definition is the definition of unhappiness. So events minus expectations. Unhappiness is when events miss expectations. So your brain looks at the world around it and goes like, okay, my partner said something harsh on Friday. That is not my optimum perception of a good life for me. This event misses my expectations. So I'm going to alert you in the form of an emotion so that you are aware that something is not right. Okay, that emotion, whether it is sadness, fear, anxiety, worry, regret, shame, all of those negative emotions are in that definition. Interestingly, they are just a survival mechanism. This basically is your body telling you something is wrong. I need you to pay attention to it. Now, what is let's take any other survival mechanisms we humanity have created to understand. Take a fire alarm. A survival mechanism for humanity is a fire alarm. If this fire alarm goes off, it will be very noisy and it will be painful and annoying, but it's there for a reason. And the reason is, I need to alert you that there might be a fire. The way we react to fire alarms is very different than the way we react to unhappiness. Let me explain. Take the same example. Your partner says something hurtful on Friday. Okay, if this was a fire alarm, you would do something about it. Okay, but we don't. We wake up on Saturday, and what do? We say, remember that clip from Friday 4 p.m.? play that again and torture it. Okay, we have the ability as humans to create unhappiness on demand. It's almost like the Netflix of unhappiness. Okay, we basically go like, oh yeah, we like that horror movie, play it again. On Sunday, we say he or she doesn't love me anymore. On Monday, we say we're going to spend the rest of our life alone. Now, that capability that humanity has is for one simple reason, that your brain really cares about you. So if it alerts you that something is wrong and you don't respond to it, what does it do? It brings it up again and again and again and again until you react to it. So if we want to become happy as individuals, I'll cover that and then go back to companies to close. If we want to become happy as individuals, let's react to the survival mechanism as we react to fire alarms. Okay, and what do we do when there is a fire alarm? We ask ourselves 3 questions. Okay, first thing we do, by the way, is we get out of our situation, we go outside, and then we ask 3 questions. Question 1 is it true? Is the fire alarm an indication of an actual fire, right? The second question is, can I do something about it? You know, is it a small fire? Can we extinguish it? Can we call the fire brigade? Can we do something, right? And sometimes, sadly, there are things that happen in our life, maybe big fires, that we can do nothing about. And what do we do then? We say, can we accept this fact and start to react and see how we can make life better despite what happens? Now, let me give you an example of each of those. Is it true? Is that, you know, story that you tell yourself on Monday because your partner said something hurtful on Friday, on Monday you say they don't love me anymore, okay? And the question is that true, brain? Are you telling me that they don't love me because you have an evidence for that, or are you exaggerating and creating stories? If it is not true, drop it, okay? If your story is the legal team doesn't want me to succeed and I want to close the deal, okay? Is this story true? The legal team wants you to succeed. They just want you to also sign a contract that is safe for the company, right? So if you drop that story, you're not unhappy anymore. You behave differently, okay? If you keep that story, you're unhappy. So your first question, is it true? If the answer is no, then drop it. If the answer is yes, it is true. The second question is, what can I do about it? What can I do about it? If the legal team actually, you know, is trying to make me fail for some reason, what do I do? Do I go talk to the CEO? If my partner said something harsh because they don't love me anymore? True. If it's true, can I talk to them? Can we work things out? Can we go to counseling? Okay. Interestingly, the minute you start to do something about it, the unhappiness goes away, because actually the parts of your brain that create this incessant thinking is different than the parts that solve problems. So the minute you move the problem from incessant thinking to problem solving, you're actually not unhappy anymore. And bonus, you make the world better. Okay, that's question number 2. But question number 3 is, what if I cannot do anything about it? What if my partner actually doesn't love me anymore and there is nothing to fix that? You know, they're hurt or they whatever, right? What can I do? Can I commit and accept? Commit and accept is so interesting. I call it committed acceptance. Committed acceptance is, you know, as entrepreneurs, you know, Iza was talking about that app that wasn't successful because they didn't build it with joy, right? If it's not successful and you sit in a corner and complain about it for the rest of the company history, is that going to make it successful, right? Or is it, what is the right thing to do when something went wrong, when we were hit with COVID and businesses slowed down, right? What do? We slow down, we accept that this is the new environment, we get together and say, what can we do for our business to continue to succeed despite the presence of COVID? Or for even very successful entrepreneurs, they would ask, because of the presence of COVID, can I shift my business somehow because the new environment gives me new opportunities? With those 3 questions, your bounce back time to happiness becomes very, very low if you ever feel unhappy. Which takes me back to business. Iza beautifully said it. If the leader of the company is not happy, the company will never be happy. But if the leader of the company is not happy, the leader of the company is missing out on a major opportunity to acquire and retain the best talent to make them the most productive. Now, if the leader of the company is happy and wants to make the company happy, they need to make the happiness equation work. They need events to meet expectations. What does that mean? 100% transparency. Everyone should see the events for exactly what they are. Everyone should set expectations realistically based on conversations and and transparency. Number 3 is when things go wrong. When things go wrong, how do leaders react? Okay, if you want to make your organization happy and successful, when things go wrong, you ask the 3 questions. You say, is it true? Is it true that this situation is difficult, the product is not going to succeed? If it is true, what can we do to make it better? Okay, and there is no hard feelings in any of that. This is a process where you say, can we make things better? Can we fix them? And if we cannot fix them, how can we simply let it go and start to build something again that makes us a happy organization? I will say openly, throughout my entire career, that most people think that I succeeded to become the chief business officer of Google X because I was intelligent or whatever. Absolute lie. The only reason I succeeded in a company like Google that was full of intelligent people was because I built business within Google that was the happiest place to work. So the best talent came and worked for me, and they wanted to stay, and they made us all successful. I encourage everyone to consider that very deeply, because I think this is, as I started my conversation, Iza has shared with us the biggest secret of success, building a happy company.
Thank you so much, Mo, for that inspiring and even moving message. And I think with everything you've just shared with us in terms of your very practical also tools and sort of guidance in terms of how to reach happiness and optimal joy, I think you definitely are closer to your mission of making 1 billion people happy. So thank you so much from all of us. And with that, we will conclude today's session. And I would still like to encourage all of you to rate this session using the poll on the screen. And we would really highly appreciate it. And thank you once more so much, Iza Sia Login and Mo Gowdat for joining us with this very important message. And we also, of course, want to thank all of you on the line for joining us. Make sure to follow our channels to get updates on the upcoming activities and engagements. And we really hope to see you at our events in September. Take care.
Business used to be traditional.
Good morning.
It just feels like people care here.
We need business as unusual. And we need funky business.
The 44th President of the United States, Mr. Barack Obama.
Thank you.
Very warm round of applause for Mr. David Cameron.
Thank you very much. Some of the best speakers in the world.
The purpose of business is not to maximize shareholder value. Whoever told you that shouldn't.
It brings together so many people and creates this high energy environment.
We are social animals.
Powerful speakers, powerful audience.
I'll be back.